Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It is now week 18 in the NFL, so we're back with my weekly NFL predictions. If you enjoy the content, make sure you do like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. With that being said, let's get to the finale of the regular season this week. So as always, we start with the previous week recap. Chiefs beat the Steelers, Ravens beat the Texans, Seahawks beat the Bears. That was probably the worst game I've seen in a long time. Chargers beat the Patriots, Bengals beat the Broncos in overtime. Bengals, man. Congrats. That was a great game. If they somehow sneak into the playoffs, wow, tremendous. Anyway, Rams beat the Cardinals. Damn, Cardinals, you guys had it. Y'all had it. You could have helped my Seahawks, and you just did not do it. So it is what it is. Bills beat the Jets. Raiders beat the Saints. Giants beat the Colts, which, man, Indianapolis, that was a disgusting loss. Eagles beat the Cowboys, Buccaneers beat the Panthers, Jags beat the Titans, Dolphins beat the Browns, Vikings beat the Packers. That it turned into a game at the end, but man, Packers were just looked outmatched pretty much the entire game. Commanders beat the Falcons, Lions beat the 49ers, and we are 12-4 on last week's picks. That means we, after week 17, we're 172-74. I checked the percentage on that. It's like 69.92%. So we're rounding up. I'm like 70% on the year so far. So we'll see how we are after week 18 and going into the playoffs. But now moving over to the playoff picture, starting with the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs will be the number 1 seed. They have clinched that. The number 2 seed is the Buffalo Bills, and they have clinched that. The number 3 seed currently is the Baltimore Ravens. They have clinched a playoff spot, but they have not clinched the division. If they win this week, they will clinch that division spots. Number 4 is the Houston Texans. They kind of clinched their division by default. I don't believe they can move up whatsoever, so they're stuck at that number 4 spot. The number 5 spot is the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they win and the Baltimore Ravens lose, I believe they'll move up into that spot. So they have a lot to play for this week. Number 6 seed is the LA Chargers. They have clinched a playoff spot. I believe they can pass the Steelers this week, but right now they're at the 6th spot. The number 7 spot is still up for grabs, but currently it is the Denver Broncos, and they hold all the cards. If they beat the Chiefs this week, they're just in. Win and in, basically. The team still in the hunt are the Miami Dolphins and this is Cincinnati Bengals. We will talk about their playoff chances when we get to those two teams and their respective games. And moving over to the NFC, the number 1 seed currently is the Detroit Lions. Basically, if they beat the Vikings this week, they clinch that. The number 2 seed is the Philadelphia Eagles. They are pretty much locked in at the 2 spot. They cannot move up whatsoever. The number 3 spot is the LA Rams. If they lose and Tampa wins, Tampa will move up. But yeah, LA is currently at the 3 seed and they've clinched the division. So they're not playing for a whole lot in week 18, but it is what it is. The number 4 spot is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And basically they're in a win and in scenario. So hopefully they can do it. I would love to see Tampa in the playoffs. The number 5 spot is the Minnesota Vikings. They have clinched a playoff spot, and they are basically, if they win against Detroit this week, they move into that number 1 spot. So they have a lot to play for this week. Going to be a tremendous game. Number 6 spot, we do have the Washington Commanders. They have clinched a playoff spot. Them and the Packers have the same record, so they can swap just depending on wins and losses this week. The Packers have also clinched the playoffs, and like I said, they can only switch between them and Washington. And the team still in the hunt is the Atlanta Falcons, and it's for that division crown. So if they tie, so if Tampa loses and Atlanta wins, Atlanta is in. So we will see about that one. Oh, sorry, that was a little spoiler. Moving into my weekly top 5 NFL rankings, number 5, we do have the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think the Eagles are playing good ball if they can just get Jalen Hurts back and healthy. So I would basically take this as a bye week coming in. I know Saquon is still trying to go for that record, and I'd probably let him go get it. But yeah, in terms of most of my other skill positions, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, they're not playing this week. Number 4, we do have the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions are really good. I really like a lot of the things this team is doing. I was a little skeptical to see how this team would look without David Montgomery, but I challenged Jahmyr Gibbs, and it looks like he is delivering right now. So I hope this offense continues to hum, and the defense has to do just enough for this team to win. Number 3 is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm finally giving you guys your respect, okay? I hear you guys in the comments. Minnesota, congrats. You guys are tremendous. You guys are doing everything right. Sam Darnold, is he going to turn into a pumpkin? I have no idea. But right now, you guys are playing some good ball. So keep that shit up. Number 2, we do have the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills are just tremendous in every single way. I think this team, the only thing that can hurt them is themselves. So don't hurt yourselves. Number 1 is the Chiefs. All right, moving on to the first game of the week. It is, so we have 2 Saturday games, a late window Saturday game and a Saturday night game. So the late window Saturday game is the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. So for the Browns, I think it might be time for a full reset. And what I mean by that is fire the coach, fire everybody, cut every single quarterback you have on your roster, trade Myles Garrett, trade basically any real significant piece, and just a full absolute reset of your organization, because it is everything you're doing is not working. So you got to figure out what you want to be going forward, Cleveland. As for the Ravens, win this game, but stay healthy. Genuinely, you have to stay healthy. And I put get a lead and put Lamar on the bench. The equal sign is a typo, so pardon me. But if they can get a lead, get Lamar and Henry out of that game. Basically, if the less that those two have to play this week, the better. So get a lead, hold the lead, and win this game. I do have the Ravens winning this one. I don't think this one's going to be close. I got the Ravens 31, Browns 13. Our Saturday night game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for the Bengals, the only hope for playoffs is a win and losses by the Dolphins and Broncos. That is the only thing you can hope for. So I'm rooting for a Cincinnati, because I think if you make the playoffs, it's going to be so much chaos, and I'm here for it. I'm very, very excited. And as for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they should be scoreboard watching. If the Ravens win their game, this game is meaningless. So basically, take this as a bye week if the Ravens win. So yeah, like I said, scoreboard watching. They need to stay healthy, keep Russ upright. I'm not sure if any of your skill position players should play in this game. A lot of your defensive players like TJ, I would not be playing them in this game if the Ravens won. So yeah, scoreboard watching for sure. And they just need to figure out their offense. So I'm not sure how you do that in a week where this game potentially could be meaningless, but they need to figure out their offense for sure. I got the Bengals in this one, guys. I'm really high on the Bengals train right now. I got the Bengals 38, Steelers 35. Please, Cincinnati, please make the playoffs. It would just be such a great story for football. Moving over to our early window games on Sunday. We have the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. So we have lots of games because there's just no Thursday night games and only 2 Saturday night games. So tons of early window games this week. So for the Panthers, there's a lot to rebuild in this offseason, but I think Bryce Young is the guy. I think he should be the starter going forward. I'm not sure if I trust the coaching over there, but as of right now, I would definitely rebuild with Bryce. As for the Falcons, I don't think you fire Raheem Morris, but I think you give him one more year. I know I might be jumping the gun on that one a little bit, but I don't think you fire him. I don't think he's proven that he's a bad head coach quite yet, but leaves a little bit to be desired. So give him one more year and we can see how it goes. As for Michael Penix, I genuinely think he's the guy. I really think he's the right guy for the job. Kirk Cousins was kind of a desperation signing just because I think this team thinks they're a quarterback away. I don't think they're a quarterback away. I think they're a quarterback and maybe one more wide receiver away from being really, really good. So, but I think Penix is the guy for sure. I think this defense needs to regain a little bit because they let up a lot more points than I would like, and I just think this team has a lot of potential. Not potential to necessarily win the Super Bowl, but to make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game. So they just need to get their shit together. And I do expect them to win against the Panthers. I got the Falcons 31, Panthers 24. I definitely think the Falcons got this one. Moving over to our next game is the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. So for the Commanders, win this and you get the 6th seed. So I genuinely think they have a lot to play for this week, and I really hope they do it because I would prefer them to be the 6th seed over the Packers being the 6th seed because I want to see that 2-7 matchup. I really want to see that 2-7 matchup. So Jaden Daniels, I think he should be co-rookie of the year with Brock Bowers. I really, really think they're both just tremendous, and I would not be upset about either one of them. I think this team just needs to stay healthy in Week 18, so make sure you're doing that, Commanders. As for the Cowboys, I don't think Dak is the guy, and they already re-signed him, so I just don't know what this team wants to be. I don't think you're a piece away. I don't think you're 2, 3, 4 pieces away. I think you have Micah Parsons, and he's a great piece on defense. I think you have CeeDee Lamb, a great piece on offense. But other than those two players, I would pretty much reset everywhere else, in my opinion. They just cut Zeke Elliott too, which is so bizarre. I think that's just like one of his incentives was probably to play every single game this year. So that's just really shady business, especially to a guy that's been a part of your organization for a while. But I know it's a business at the end of the day. So I got the Commanders in this one. I got the Commanders 27, Cowboys 24. I was leaning either way on this one because the Commanders might just take this as a bye week and just they don't care which seeding they get. But I'm leaning the Commanders in this one. Our next game is the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. So for the Bears, it was just such a disappointing season. I heard so much praise in the offseason for how good this team was going to be. And guess what? They were shit. They were shit after, what was it, week 6? After that Hail Mary they had against them in the Commanders game. They just fell apart. 10-game losing streak. Awful. And I just don't think this team is 1 to 2 pieces away. I don't think a competent defense changes much for this team, because I think their offensive line is just awful, and you need to fully reset on that offensive line if you want Caleb Williams to be successful here. So we will see. As for the Packers, kind of a lot to say on them. I think it's crazy that they are going to win 12 games and be the 7th seed. That is pretty much insane to me, but it is what it is. I think this team is great, except against the top 3 teams in the NFC. So I was checking their record and checking the scores of all their games. So the Packers have 5 losses, 2 to the Vikings, 1 to the Eagles, 2 to the Lions. They literally lost to the top 3 teams in the NFC. That is batshit to me, but it is what it is. I think this team needs to stay healthy, but you got to win this game. You definitely do. It's just kind of for morale, just in case the Commanders do lose their game. But like I said, try and stay healthy in this one. I like this Packers team, but I think like I said, they're good except against the best teams. They just don't show up for those games until it's too late. I got the Packers for sure in this one, though. I got the Packers 30, Bears 13. Packers own the Bears. Our next game is the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. So for the Texans, you got to figure your shit out this week, man. You got to figure out what your offense wants to be. CJ, you got to figure your shit out, man. You guys have to figure it out this week. Their O-line is awful, and I think CJ's kind of seeing ghosts at times, but you got to figure it out. Especially against this Titans team, you got to figure it out, especially just so you can head into the playoffs on a higher note. And as for the Titans, I don't think you have any pieces. I think it's a full rebuild. I think you're trying to get a new quarterback, trying to get a new O-line, trying to get a new running back. Like I said, this team just does not have anything. So I'm not sure what's in the future for the Titans, but I would fully rebuild. I got the Texans in this one. Texans 23, Titans 20. I expect this game to be on the closer side, but I'm definitely leaning with the Texans. Our next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. So for the Jaguars, nice win, but who cares, man? This team just does not care about putting good football out. And I really just hate talking about this team because I feel like they have so much potential and they just don't care about it. So why should I care, you know? As for the Colts, I think so I found this funny. Both playoff hopeful teams lost to the Giants. The Colts lost to the Giants, and my Seahawks lost to the Giants. And guess what? Neither of us are making the playoffs, so take that with what you will. Maybe don't lose to the Giants. Anyway, I think this team needs a new coach and a new coordinators. I think the culture of this team is very bad, and I typed that out and said that before I saw Pat McAfee's tweet and him talking about it, but he's completely right. I think this team just needs a complete culture change, and I think they need to just clean house of all the coaching staff and coordinators, but I don't think they will do that. I got the Colts in this one. I got the Colts 24, Jags 23. It's a division game, so I expect this to be closer, and especially neither of these teams are playing for much. Our next game is the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. So for the Bills, this game should be a bye week because this game does not matter. Buffalo Bills are locked in at the 2 seed. They cannot move to the 1, cannot move down to the 3, so I'm benching everybody, basically. As for the Patriots, I think it's a full rebuild around Drake May specifically. Get a new O-line for that kid. Get him a running back. Get him as many weapons as you can and see what you can do. I think Gerard Mayo can morph this defense into something good, so I would definitely keep Gerard Mayo for at least 1 year, depending on how they do next year. Maybe a year after that. I got the Bills in this one. Like I said, I expect the Bills to bench everybody and treat this as a bye week. I got the Bills 20, though, because I still think the Bills bench is better than the Patriots starting. So I got the Bills 20, Patriots 17. Our next game is the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. So for the Giants, go get a QB, man. You got to go get a QB because I'm not sure if you trade up for the number 1 pick. You had it and you kind of squandered it, but hey, you knocked the Colts out of the playoffs, so I'm not complaining too much. But yeah, you definitely got to go get a QB. I just don't know if Brian Daboll is the guy, though. I don't know if he's the head coach for this team. I think he's a tremendous coordinator, but I just don't know if he is the right head coach for the New York Giants going forward. As for the Eagles, they're locked in at the 2 seed. This is basically a bye week for them as well. I'm benching everybody. I think everybody needs to slow their roll on Kenny Pickett, though. I think Kenny Pickett is decent, but he's not Nick Foles. So shut the hell up. I got the Eagles in this one for sure. Like I said, it's still a bye week, but I still think the Eagles bench is better than the Giants starting. I got the Eagles 24, Giants 17. Our next game is the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So for the Saints, I also don't think this team is 1 to 2 pieces away. I think it is a full rebuild for this team. Fully rebuild. You don't have a quarterback, in my opinion. I think you have Alvin Kamara, so it is what it is. I don't think Alvin Kamara is tremendous anymore, unfortunately. I think he can get you carries, but he's definitely thunder and needs some lightning to help him. But yeah, I don't think this team is 1 to 2 pieces away at all. As for the Buccaneers, it's a win and in. So possibly the 3 seed. I hope they get the 3 seed if my Seahawks beat the Rams. So we'll see about that one. But I think this team just needs to stay healthy, but get Mike Evans his touches. He's 85 yards away from 1,000. Get him his touches, definitely. This game is definitely not meaningless. So you can definitely play him, Tampa. For the score, I got the Bucks in this one. I got the Bucks 28, Saints 27. We'll see about this one. For some reason, the Saints show up to games like this, but I'm leaning the Bucks in this one. And moving over to our late window games, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. So for the Chiefs, I really disagree with benching everybody for this entire game. I would at least play them in the first half, just so they can remain fresh or more fresh. Because if you take 20 full days off, or it's about... Well, for some players, like Chris Jones, it'd be about 20 days if he took this game off. So I really wouldn't do it. I would play most of my starters, if not all my starters, for at least the first half. And after that, I'd pull them after that. Because you definitely want to keep everybody healthy, because this game is technically meaningless for the Chiefs. But you can't go that long with games off. Because if Patrick doesn't play in this game, that's 13, 14 full days off of not playing football. And you're going to start really rusty when you move into the playoffs. So for the Broncos, it's a win and in scenario, but please lose. Not because I hate the Denver or anything, but I just think Miami or what are those? Cincinnati are just better teams. And it sucks to say, but I would really like to see Cincinnati in this spot. No Bo Nix mistakes. I almost put mix steaks, but I didn't. So anyway, so yeah, just try to limit the interceptions for Bo Nix. I think this defense has to stop somebody. This defense has had a lot of potential this year, but in the last few weeks, they've kind of regressed quite significantly. So we will see about this one. I got the Broncos in this one, though. I got the Broncos 27, Chiefs 20. Our next game is the LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. So for the Chargers, this game doesn't really matter. They're kind of locked in at the 6th seed, so I'd kind of play my starters for maybe the first quarter and then bench them after that. So we'll see. They definitely need to keep their offense buzzing, especially going into the playoffs. This team is very feisty, and they're starting to figure it out. So I wouldn't want to play this Chargers team right now. As for the Raiders, congrats on your 2-game win streak. Yay! No Shador Sanders unless you trade it for that number 1 pick. Would I do it? Would I do it? No, I wouldn't. But I got the Raiders in this one. I got the Raiders 20, Chargers 17. Like I said, Chargers are locked in at the 6th seed. This should be a bye week for them. Moving over to the next game, it's my Seattle Seahawks at the LA Rams. So the Seahawks aren't playing for much, guys. We're not playing for much. I think it sucks that we didn't make the playoffs, but shout out to Coach McDonald. Genuinely, congrats on your first year and having a positive record in your first year. If they win this game, they'll be at 10 wins. So we haven't been at 10 wins since fucking, I don't remember even when. So yay, hopefully we can figure it out. And we have a lot to change this offseason. As for the Rams, they're in the playoffs, but they're technically fighting for that 3 seed, so I don't think the Rams care which seed they have, though, genuinely. I don't think they give a shit. I think this team just finds ways to win, and they're definitely peaking at the right time. Their defense is peaking at the right time. They're playing extremely good football, but in my opinion, the Rams should play their starters in the first half and bench them for the second half. I got the Seahawks in this one. I got the Seahawks 27, the Rams 24. I'm not very confident about this pick, but yay, hopefully the Seahawks can win. And moving over to our next game is the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. So for the Dolphins, win and need the Chiefs to beat the Broncos in order for the Miami Dolphins to make the playoffs. I think Tua, he kind of just needs to stay healthy for this team if they have any chance to make the playoffs, but very, very pessimistic about that one. I think this defense is pretty decent. I like their D-line a lot. I like their linebackers a lot. Their secondary is hit and miss sometimes, but for the most part, they've been playing really well. And as for the Jets, I think it's either a full rebuild or a full regroup. If you full regroup, I think you're delusional. But if it's a full rebuild, I'm leaning a little bit more. I like that a little bit more for these Jets. I'm not sure if that's in the cards for them, just because I don't think they're well run whatsoever. So we'll see. I think you need to cut Rodgers. I think he's done. He doesn't look good. He looks washed. He's had maybe a couple good games in the last 5 weeks. So I just don't know. And I try to tell you guys, I didn't believe in this Jets team. And I at least had them at around I don't even remember. I think it was seven-ish wins. So I got the Dolphins in this one, guys. Unfortunately, as much as I want the Jets to win this, I got the Dolphins 27, Jets 17. Moving over to our last late window game, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. So for the 49ers, I told you so. I said it in my preseason prediction video. I told you guys so. I said this team had way too many injuries, and guess freaking what? I was right. I predicted this team was way healthier last year, and I said they were going to have a lot more injuries this year because it's so hard to have less injuries to key players, and they had very little injuries to key players last year, so it always catches up to you. As for the Cardinals, is Kyler the guy? I don't know. Genuinely, when they were 6-3, they looked really good, and I really like looking at this team, and I thought they had a lot of potential, but now they're 7-9. How do you go 1-6 in the last 7 games, man? It just does not make sense. I don't know what happened, and I expect them to go 1-7. Yeah, 1-7. I got the Niners in this one. I got the Niners 27, Cardinals 24. And finally, moving over to Sunday Night Football, the regular season finale is a banger. It is the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Winner takes the division and the number 1 seed. So for the Vikings, win, and you are the number 1 seed. Congrats. They have had a tremendous season, almost getting 15 wins out of this team. In itself is just tremendous, especially with their potential franchise quarterback going down before the season even started. kudos to this team, honestly, giving them their flowers for sure. I think this defense has to show up for all 4 quarters in this game. You cannot have any lulls, not in this game, not against this team. It just does not work out. You got to have mistake-free Sam Darnold as well. Limit the interceptions, and I think this team will win this game. As for the Lions, I think their defense has to get 1 to 2 stops. If they can get a turnover, even better. I think this offense is going to be pretty much unstoppable for the rest of the season, in my opinion. I think this offense has it figured out. I think Ben Johnson is the most sought-after coordinator to become a head coach next season because he is one of the best offensive minds in the game currently. So I think this offense cannot be stagnant. They will get points on the board. You got to have a mistake-free Jared Goff. These two teams are similar in a few ways, but one defense is humming and really, really good, and one is injury-ridden, and we will see. I got the Lions in this one, guys. I'm still going with the Lions. I'm sorry, Minnesota. I think the Lions are still really, really good. I got the Lions 38, Vikings 35. And with that being said, that will conclude Week 18 predictions and the regular season. We will be back every single week with my playoff predictions as well. So be very excited for that. I'm excited for the playoffs. It's going to be a great year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for being with me through the entire regular season. If you've watched every single video, awesome. I love you. But I will catch you guys in the wild card round next week. Peace.